Hi, I'm Shaul. This video is intended for users of the Nikon ZR, that new unusual camera made for videographers mainly. Many of you are new to the Nikon system, and I thought you might want to learn a little bit about the Nikon ecosystem, especially the aspect of lenses. I think I should start with an introduction. I've been an amateur photographer for almost 40 years. And during that time, I used many lenses. Around a decade ago, I noticed a change in the characteristics of the images I've been obtaining. And it wasn't a change for the better. Images suddenly became flatter, much sharper, much more detailed than I was used to see beforehand. I could not relate it to the cameras I used, because I never needed a high-resolution camera. But still, it looked like there was added resolution to the images. That increase in resolution was accompanied by a loss of likability. Images looked too contrasty, too bitey. Smaller and smaller details got more emphasis on the expense of a more lifelike rendering of structures, of shapes, of textures and distances in the scenes I shot. That was especially apparent when I shot organic subjects, such as humans, which is the type of photography I prefer doing. I set out to explore what exactly happened. And I came to the conclusion it has to do with the lenses. When mounting an older lens introduced prior to about 2012, it still produced a likable, lifelike image, while when using a newer lens, it could not portray the world, the scene, in the same pleasing, true-to-life manner. So I delved deeper into this phenomenon. I found a relation between the chemistry of glass used in lenses and their rendition. You see, there are many types of glass which have their own chemical composition, and that chemical composition affects two variables: their refractive index, which is the level to which the glass changes the angle of light hitting it, and by that it also changes the speed of light traveling through it. And the Abbe number, or the sensitivity of that glass to dispersion, which is expressed by us photographers as chromatic aberration. After some elaborate work with the generous help of the viewers of this channel, I was able to come up with an index that can predict the rendering of a lens. I call that index dispersion score, calculated by subtracting the number of low dispersion elements in the lens from the number of complex groups that contain more than one glass element cemented together, and then dividing that subtraction by the total number of elements. The theoretical limits to that score are -1 on the negative side and plus 0.5 on the positive side. Different dispersion score values are predictive of the behavior of the lens, of the characteristics of the images it makes. Values lower than plus 0.14 would create a flat image that is defined by harsh tonal gradations, emphasis given to edges and small details on the expense of high frequency contrast. Structure of objects, their curvature and distances in the scene are less obvious. Almost all lenses introduced after 2012 fall into this category. Those lenses are made to support high megapixel count sensors, and the gradual increase in resolution of the sensors made for photography dictated the use of more and more low dispersion or ED glass. It's a low density glass that is less resistant to the light passing through it. It creates a lower level of chromatic aberration, of fringing, if you will. But this glass also creates a harsh tonal transition between shadows and highlights that creates images that are very different from the way our native eyes see the world. Those images are not as easy to interpret. It is not as easy to imagine the three-dimensionality of a scene by looking at a two-dimensional representation. The next value range of dispersion score is around 0.14 to 0.2. I would define that value as matching a mild level of dimensionality in the images produced by the lens. There are a few modern lenses made for mirrorless camera that fall into this category. in the Nikon ecosystem, lenses such as the 28mm f2.8 or the rather popular 35mm f1.4 made for the Z mount. There is also one third-party lens, the Sirui Aurora 85mm f1.4, that falls into this category. Now, I would be careful of generalizing the fact that one lens in a series of lenses made by our manufacturers falls into a poppy or dimensional category. It does not mean that all that the lenses made in that series will behave the same. The Sirui Aurora line is a good example for that. The 85mm is mildly poppy, but the new lens that joined it, the 35mm f1.4, is as flat as most modern mirrorless lenses. The next category is the highly poppy, highly dimensional category, with dispersion score value that falls between about 0.2 and 0.33. Those are truly three-dimensional, excellent lenses that might fit the needs of cinematographers, because they create an image that is true to life, that is very easy to look at, an immersive portrayal of the scene. Those lenses are not highly detailed. The contrast level at a very high frequency is a little bit lower, so they don't accentuate edges, they don't show you the tiny details, they don't give them too much emphasis. On the other hand, they have very gentle tonal gradations that really accentuate the curvature of surfaces and make them appear more three-dimensional. The lens shooting me now, it's my favorite lens in the world. It's the Thypoc 28mm f1.4, and it has a dispersion score of 0.27, which puts it squarely in this highly poppy category. Perhaps you can appreciate the gentle tonal gradations, the lack of harsh, very sharp details. And I truly like lenses like this one. This lens is also a good reference for cinematographers, because it belongs to the Chimera C series made by Thypoc. Some lenses in the Nikon ecosystem that fall into this category are the older Nikon 35mm f1.4G made for the F mount, that can be easily adapted to the Z mount through the Nikon FTZ adapter, or a similar one made by many third parties. the Nikon Z 50mm f1.4, not the f1.8s, which is a highly clinical lens, which renders the scene in an unpleasant, very sharp and bitey manner. The 50mm f1.4 is a little bit softer. It is not as well corrected. It doesn't show you the small details in such harshness, and it maintains the structure of objects depicted in the scene. Another Z-mount lens that falls into this category is the humble 40mm f2, which is a lovely lens. In a survey I made, it beat some other venerable 40mm lenses for its true-to-life rendering. Lenses such as the Falklander 40mm f1.2. Other lenses in the Nikon ecosystem that are highly poppy are the 26mm f2.8 Z. It's a tiny lens, but it does show its excellence in many photographs or footage sequences you watch. Another lens is the Nikon 58mm f1.4G. It's another one of the high-end series of f1.4 primes made for the f-mount. It was introduced in 2015, but it was made especially to be a character lens, a little bit softer. The next category of dispersion score values is lenses that have a very high score. Those are a very few lenses. I can only think of classic Zona designs that are defined by fat chunks of glass glued together. They typically only have 3 groups in their construction. And another one is the Thypok Chimera 35mm f1.4, which is made of 9 elements in 5 groups with no low dispersion glass. So it scores very high dispersion score of 0.44 out of the maximum of 0.5. Perhaps I should change the lens now and show you what it looks like while I explain the characteristics of this category. I'm now shooting with a Thypok Chimera 35mm f1.4. Perhaps you can already notice it in the footage, but this lens has a more subdued contrast overall. Those lenses are typically lower contrast, so they look a little bit milky. They still hide a lot of dimensionality, a lot of pop, but you can not readily see it. the footage or the images have to go through some post-processing in order to open them up. On the other hand, those lenses are very good for maintaining shadow and highlight details because of their lower contrast. I rather like this Thypoc 35mm. I am a sucker for lower contrast lenses, for maybe a denser rendering. But it's not everyone's cup of tea. Some of the old Sona designs are really low contrast. They are not designed to shoot color. There are older lenses made in the 30s, in the 50s, and they were made to shoot black and white film, where they excel. Now, when you put them on a modern camera, you will see that they create a lot of fringing, so much fringing that their color reproduction might look a little bit off. But a little bit of chromatic aberration can go a long way. It slightly blurs edges. It smooths out transitions in tone and in color. And this is conducive to the true-to-life dimensional appearance of. I'm now back to the Thypoc Chimera 28mm f1.4, my favorite lens. I will limit the talk to autofocus lenses. All the Nikon lenses, manual ones, are perhaps not as relevant to the users of the Nikon ZR. It's a small camera made for solo production. So autofocus might be quite helpful to its users. Nikon autofocus glass falls into two categories. Earlier lenses introduced during the 90s were called AF or AFD lenses. And their focusing mechanism was controlled by a small screw in the lens. The actual autofocusing motor was located in the camera body, and it drove the focusing group inside the lens through that screwdriver mechanism. So those lenses do not contain any motors or electronics, and are thus quite small. This is a 35mm f2 lens. It weighs less than 200 grams and is quite compact, and is surprisingly good for its age, for its small size. In a recent test I performed, this lens beat the Thypoc Chimera 35mm f1.4 I showed you before. Adapting those lenses to the Z mount is not as straightforward as it might seem. Z cameras do not contain an autofocusing motor like all the Nikon SLRs and DSLRs used to. So using the regular FTZ adapter does not support autofocus. Of course, you can still control the aperture, can manually focus those lenses, but you need a different solution to run the screwdriver mechanism. The older focusing mechanism also means that autofocus is not as fast, not as quiet as you may be familiar with on newer dedicated lenses made for mirrorless mounts. Recently, a Chinese company called Monster Adapter released an adapter, a motorized one that can bridge between the autofocusing algorithm in Z cameras and the autofocusing mechanism in the lens. So let me mount this lens on the adapter and I'll show you what it can do. Well, this is the image coming through the Nikon AFD 35mm f2. It's a lens introduced almost 35 years ago, in 1992. But it is still very good. Makes a very natural, pleasing image that I think is highly suitable for cinema applications. The operation of the autofocus is okay. I wouldn't say it's more than this. Let me show you. If I get closer to the camera, you will get some hunting. It's not as smooth as a modern lens, but it's still okay if you do not try to capture motion that is too fast. It will keep up. The more modern autofocusing lenses made for the F-mount are called AFS lenses, S for silent wave motor. Those lenses are much better suited for video applications. The autofocus works seamlessly, almost as well as when you mount a dedicated Z lens on the camera. The lens shooting me now is the Nikon 28mm f1.4e. It's a lovely lens, and it will follow my eyes, my face, with autofocus in a much faster, much smoother way than those old AFD lenses. So I would encourage you to use this type of lens on the Nikon ZR. Now, most of the AFS lenses were made before 2012, especially the primes. And the f1.4 primes are fantastic. They represent a culmination of optical design. So they are very fine lenses. This lens, despite using some low dispersion glass, creates an image that is quite poppy, quite true to life. almost as nice as the image made by the Autofocus 28mm f1.4. Maybe I'll put those images side by side so you can see. They're almost indistinguishable, but this Nikon 28mm f1.4 is much more convenient to use. It has autofocus. Of course, it is a larger, heavier lens, but you should compromise something for its more convenient operation. Now, those AFS G-type lenses, especially the fast f1.4 primes, were quite expensive at the time. They were made for professional use, but they have been in the process of discontinuation by Nikon. So nowadays you can find most of them only on the second-hand market for much lower prices, typically a similar price to what you would pay for a lens like this, which is between say $600 and $800 or euros. Let me now mention a few of the lenses that myself and the viewers of this channel thought are special. They make very pleasing images or footage that allows the viewers to be immersed in what they see. They are not your regular photographic lenses that are very clinical, very flat. They truly have something special to them, like this lens shooting me now. On the wide end of the scale, I would mention the Nikon 24mm f1.4G. It's a lens made for the f-mount, and it has no equivalent in the mirrorless world. Its rendition is quite similar to what you can see on your screen right now. The second one, slightly narrower, is this lens filming me right now, the 28mm f1.4G. It's one of the last lenses made for the f-mount, released in 2017. So it's a little bit sharper. You can mount it on a higher megapixel count camera, and it will still give you a little bit more detail, but it maintains the dimensionality of the scene. It is a very nice lens. I would say out of all the 28mm lenses I tried, the only one that slightly surpasses it is the Autofocus Chimera 28mm f1.4. But this lens is close, almost indistinguishable. Another nice 28mm lens is the Focus, the 28mm f2 Ultron. But that is also a manual lens, and the discussion today is limited to autofocusing glass. Slightly narrower is the Nikon Z 35mm f1.4. It is also made for the f-mount, so we will need an adapter to mount it on a Z-mount camera. That lens is truly special. It comes on top on every test I perform, and the viewers of this channel seem to like it very much too. I would highly recommend it. It has no equivalence in the Z ecosystem. The 35mm f1.4 Z lens is a nice one, but it falls short when you compare it to that G lens. The Nikon 35mm f1.4 G has 10 elements in 7 groups, and it scores 0.30 on the dispersion score scale. So its design is nearly perfect for rendering the scene in a true-to-life manner. Next, in the 40mm category, I think there is no competition to the humble 40mm f2 Z lens. It's a small lens, very cheaply built. It's inexpensive, but it has a special rendering. Its autofocus is nice and reliable. I really like that lens, if 40mm is your thing. On the 50mm category, I haven't seen many impressive offerings. There is the new 50mm f1.4 Z lens, which I haven't had the pleasure to own and try. But from sample images I've seen, it's perhaps the best 50mm you can mount on the Z mount. So I suggest looking at a lot of sample images or sample footage shot with that lens and making your own opinion. It seems to be the best offering. Now, I might warn you that that lens is a little bit shorter than 50mm, so it's more comparable to a 45, I think. The next lens I should mention is the Nikon 58mm f1.4 G, another f-mount lens. You will need an FTZ adapter to mount it on your Nikon ZR. It's a special lens. It's not very sharp, wide open. You might see some fringing, but as I mentioned before, fringing can go a long way in portraying the scene in a lifelike manner. So I would not dismiss it because of that. It's a lens that is suitable for one-to-one interviews, for some close-ups. I really like the rendering of that lens, especially the autofocus surfaces, which assume a very soft, very high-end appearance. Lastly, at the 85mm category, I think that your best option is the 85mm f1.4G made by Nikon. It's a special lens. It has a very pleasing rendering. That is another lens I never had the pleasure to use. I'm not a telephoto shooter, but from sample images it seems it has no competition in the Nikon ecosystem. You could also look at the Sirui Aurora 85mm f1.4, which is a more modern lens. It is a little bit sharper, but it retains a mild poppiness. So you might want to look at it too. Another lens I should mention is the Sony Zeiss 55mm f1.8. It's a sort of a Zona design and is well known for its pleasing rendition and poppiness. It might be a good alternative to the Nikon 58mm f1.4G. Now you could mount it on your ZR using an E to Z adapter that supports autofocus. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you wish to support my channel, if you find this presentation informative and of any assistance to you, please consider buying me a coffee. It's a nice gesture between gentlemen. So thank you for watching and see you again soon.